Foogies, today we're making coconut chickpea curry. I know that's a lot of words to string together, but it's also a lot of flavor, so stick around for that cheap, easy recipe. Recently we were watching Bon Appetit, and they had on a plate chickpeas and tahini and some spices, and the whole point was to guess what they were going to make. And it was falafel, and only 2 of the Bon Appetit chefs got it, but I knew what it was. So we were making basically that's me telling you that I am as qualified as a Bon Appetit chef, and today we are making coconut chickpea curry for you, which is just as delightful because anything with chickpeas, whether it is falafel or hummus or this delicious curry, is always amazing. Chickpeas are one of my very favorite foods to use. They also go by garbanzo beans, which can be very, very sneaky.
Yeah, we've never had a problem. Even if you dry them out and toss them in some seasoning and use them as a crunchy snack, they're just a great thing to have all around. They kind of have a mild flavor, right? They're not too pungent, but it's just a good overall hearty taste, and they really fill you up.
Yeah. One of my favorite alternative proteins when we don't want to eat quite as much meat. So we have a lot going on, so why don't we run through the ingredients before we start cooking?
Sure.
So we have the chickpeas, which, as you can see, it's 2 cans of those. We have 6 cloves of garlic chopped up here. You might say, hey, that seems like a lot of garlic. There is never enough garlic, and actually in a curry, you'll kind of find that it doesn't really pack you with that huge garlicky punch or anything. It's just a really good way to add some flavor to your dish.
We're going to cook it and simmer it down, so it's going to lose a lot of its pungency over time.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't chop it so fine that it really pumps the garlic flavor.
Yeah, and we're not adding it right at the end or anything like that. So it'll be pretty mild. And here I mixed together our spices. We have 4 teaspoons of garam masala and 2 tablespoons of curry powder, as well as cayenne pepper to taste. If you're hey, I've never heard of garam masala, where can I find that? We find it at a local Indian grocery store. If you do not have one, I recommend checking your international food aisle if you have one of those in your grocery store.
Or yeah, it's just a combination of other spices too, so I would just Google that and just be I can make my own too.
Yeah, you can definitely make your own.
But it's very, very common to find it.
We also got a giant bag of it pre-mixed, which is the lazy way to go, and it was a couple bucks, so not expensive. So yeah, that's all we have there. And then I just kind of roughly chopped up some cilantro that we will add in towards the end of our curry, as well as we can top it with it to just get that fresh kind of herb at the end. We have a large can of crushed tomatoes, as well as a small can of tomato paste. That's just going to kind of be the tomatoey base, as well as coconut milk, which will be the other base, which...
Who doesn't love coconut milk, right?
Really fun fact, we cook with coconuts and coconut milk a lot. Turns out a lot of people don't like coconut, but in this dish I kind of find that it's a pretty mild coconut taste.
I bet you could give this to somebody and they wouldn't even know it's there.
Except my sister. She can find coconut anywhere, which is, I'll even fry something in coconut oil and she's all over it. So know your audience. Then we have some onion that Brett chopped up here, just kind of a rough chop. And that's going to be cooking first. And then what do we have? Just
2 baby limes, looks like. Right?
So we're going to juice those in. And then I actually have another lime that we can cut up to serve as a garnish at the end as well. Because fresh lime juice or fresh lemon juice squeezed at the very end, right before you serve something, whether it's schnitzel or a curry with some lime juice or pad thai with lime, you'll notice it takes it from here to here, like that.
Right. It's a huge, huge difference. Yep.
Yeah.
So don't skip that step.
Especially pad thai. Looking at you, restaurants that serve pad thai without limes. All right, so we're just going to get cooking. Basically, this is a one-pot recipe, which is my favorite kind of recipe.
Right. Keeping it easy. No mess. Most of the stuff comes out of a can for the most part, and including the chickpeas. So really it's just kind of like a dump, cook and simmer and stir and serve. We're going to add some avocado oil to our pan and heat it on medium to medium high just to get the oil heated up so we can add our onions. After our oil starts to heat up just a little bit, we'll go ahead and toss in our chopped onions. We're going to let our onions cook for about 5 minutes just until they start to turn translucent. Next, we're going to dump in the garlic, and we're just going to add that for about 30 to 60 seconds until you start really smelling it. You definitely don't want it to burn to the bottom of the pan. And just before the garlic's done, add in your spices and then coat everything liberally with a nice toss.
Alton Brown says you should always toast your spices to maximize flavor.
And this may make your pot turn yellow, but you know, it's totally worth it. All right, once it really starts smelling good in the kitchen from the toasted spices, add in the chickpeas and the tomato paste.
Crushed tomatoes.
Crushed tomatoes, not the paste. And then give everything a good stir.
And the tomato paste.
Now, okay, yeah, changing the order of operations here.
Really add in that tomato paste.
Really adding it. Gotta get every last drop. Tomato paste is gold.
Then we're just gonna mix everything around really well, make sure it's all mixed together, and then we're just gonna let this cook for about 5 minutes to really let the spices and the tomato sauce and the chickpeas all kind of meld together. Next, we'll add everyone's favorite, the coconut milk that everyone is sure to enjoy at your dinner party.
And you definitely want to use canned coconut milk here, right? Because coconut milk out of like the grocery store, like dairy aisle, is mostly water.
Oh yeah, the carton of coconut milk, you could just buy coconut water instead. And our second can of coconut milk. Coconut cream would be fine too if you find a can of that. Now it's turning this nice color of baby poop. Once we have everything in there, we're just gonna let it go ahead and simmer for another 5 to 10 minutes. This is where you can't really screw it up and why curries are best when you reheat them the next day, because the longer you let this go, the more the flavors are gonna kind of come out. So, I mean, we'll make this, we'll eat some for dinner tonight, and then this will go in our fridge and we will eat it for the next few days, and it'll get better every single day. Okay, so after letting everything simmer for about 10 minutes, I'm just going to add the fresh lime juice right at the end here to give it that nice fresh pop of flavor.
That's right.
2 whole limes. They are like fairly small limes, but they're pretty juicy. I'm so bad at converting, but it's a good amount of lime juice.
There's probably like 2 tablespoons in each half here. I mean, you are getting half of it on the floor, so that's okay.
And as well as the fresh lime at the end, we're gonna go ahead and add some fresh cilantro just to give it that kind of herb delicious taste.
Herbaceous.
Herbaceous. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a ton. When you start using fresh herbs, you realize that a little bit goes a long way.
If you want to use dried herbs instead, I would use twice as much and let it sit in here longer so it has time to rehydrate a little bit.
Ta-da! It was basically throw everything in a pot until done.
Right, this was, I mean, I was pretty intimidated by curries before. I mean, they always taste great if you ever order it in a restaurant, but making it yourself, there's a lot of weird ingredients that I don't use on a regular basis. But everything goes in the one pot. You just mix it all together. It actually went really fast. I think we made everything start to finish in about 30 minutes, something like that. And it was mostly just us waiting around, waiting for the stove to just cook things.
And now we have like plenty of lunches for the week. We have plenty of leftovers. And curries are amazing because they get better every single day.
Right. You can eat it straight. You can serve it over rice. You can serve it over a protein if you want. You could use it as a sauce, like on a pork chop would be great too.
You could also use it as a sauce on top of vegetables. Maybe on top of cauliflower would be really good.
Right. That is a good way to hide the flavor of cauliflower by itself.
But I also just kind of like to eat it more like a soup type thing sometimes.
Right. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do is we're going to try it like that today. This bowl is plenty hot. Oh, and you want to add your lime on it, right?
Yes.
All right, so we added lime in the pot, right, as we showed.
We added 2 whole limes.
2 whole limes, and then this is
a little wedge.
Another wedge of lime.
What I love about our cheap, easy meals is that, like, these meals are stuff that, like, we genuinely make on a regular basis, and they're, like, not hard to do, and they taste so good. Like, every time, curries especially. I just love curries.
And everything turns out pretty good when we make it. Except for that spring roll. So check out that video if you want. It'll be up in the card right here. But
we had some explosions.
That was the one disaster I think we filmed on camera. So far. All right, you got that. I'm gonna get a little cilantro in mine too. It's piping hot.
It's so flavorful.
Right. This is unlike most any other dish you'll make on a weeknight. Because there's so many seasonings in this dish that it's just punched with flavor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a lot of tomato in here. It doesn't taste very tomatoey.
There was a lot of coconut in here.
There was a lot of coconut. I don't taste hardly any coconut at all. I think it just kind of balanced out the tomato. It really tastes like those seasonings that we added in there. Garam masala, again, if you're not familiar with garam masala, it has a really strong, great flavor, really bold flavor, and you won't be sad if you are able to pick up a bag of that stuff.
We also put in some curry powder, which I'm definitely noticing. Toasting the spices made a huge difference.
Yeah, aromatics in the house, and that's really what we're tasting at the end here, are those toasted seasonings. So definitely don't skip that step. Let it sit in there before you dump in the tomato paste. It makes a big difference, just for even 30 seconds.
And you guys might have been like, you added a ton of lime juice. It's not overly limey at all. Like, it kind of just disappeared, but it has like that fresh kind of taste to it.
Yeah, there's no strong lime flavor at all. So I'm super happy with this. This is one of the easiest things we've ever made, as far as like
probably one of the cheapest as well.
All we had to do was cut up a couple ingredients, and that was it. And everything else was dumped in the cans. So I mean, there's really no way around that. It's not going to be better if you like use fresh tomatoes, right? Because we used diced tomatoes.
We use crushed tomatoes.
Yeah.
And actually, it is not tomato season for us anymore, so getting tomatoes in a can is actually the way to ensure that you're getting the freshest possible taste. Buying tomatoes at the grocery store in the winter, if you don't live in a state where they grow year-round, you might as well not do it.
Like
just get it in the can.
Yeah,
they taste better.
They don't taste like anything at the grocery store this time of year. So, all right, 10 out of 10 for this one. Maybe 11 out of 10.
Woo!
Great curry. I'd eat it with rice just to make sure it lasts longer during the week, and you're still going to get a lot of that same flavor, just with a little extra filler in it.
But if you're trying to cut down on carbs or something, you can. I'm definitely happy with this standalone. He would definitely eat it standalone.
It's going to taste the same either way. I wouldn't want to sacrifice this taste to add to it, but spread the love a little bit over the rice.
So definitely make this one. It was really good. Check out our most recent videos by clicking over here and here. Leave a comment down below with what your favorite curry is, and maybe we'll make that one next. Make sure you hit that notification bell to get alerts every time we post. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button right next to it. Thanks for tuning in this week, guys. Bye!